Hello again, and welcome back to the Guitar Reliquary. Today, I'm bringing you my very first headless guitar, and that is the Mayones Hydra Elite 6. So this guitar I picked up during the pandemic along with its partner, which is a Purple Burst, and that one's actually my favorite guitar of all time. So I'll be doing a video on that in the future. But this guitar here is my dedicated drop C guitar. So I have it set up with 12 to 60 gauge strings in drop C tuning. So what I'm going to do is take you through some of the features of the guitar, tell you about the two modifications that I have made, which are very subtle, and then get you into some tones. So this right here is a 2019 model of the Mayones Hydra Elite 6. So when these first came out, the Hydras, I was immediately drawn to the shape of the body. I think it looks very cool. It's very chic. And then the fact that it was headless. So I have always liked headless guitars from probably the time that I saw Eddie Van Halen play one on summer nights in the Live Without a Net video when I was a kid. But this was the first like really nice headless guitar that I've owned. I've had some other ones that were not of this quality. So this guitar has a two-piece mahogany body, and the mahogany on it is very figured, and it moves a lot with the light. It has a two-piece ash top, which is finished in this gorgeous Gothic black matte finish. That's joined to a five-piece wenge and purple heart neck. So it's got the wenge on the outsides and the center, and then two strips of purple heart. It's incredibly stable neck. It doesn't require a lot of adjustment. And then it has an ebony fretboard with no fret markers, which I really like. So this guitar is actually much heavier weight-wise than my purple one, which has a poplar top. And it's incredible how different the two sound. This one is really suited to down tuning, but doesn't take standard tuning quite as well. And then the purple one is much more suited to standard tuning. And, you know, it's good for down tuning too. You can down tune any guitar, but the purple one lives at standard tuning because it's more at home there. So, the Mayones Hydra guitars have 6 individual, I believe they're ABM saddles with adjustable pieces here. So you just string it up, tune it with these. These are your tuning keys, and then you set your intonation by actually physically moving this block back and forth that locks via a lock screw. It's a really great design, and I have no issues with it. The pickups are a Seymour Duncan Nazgul and a Seymour Duncan Sentient. If you've seen the Steve Morse video with the Witch King of Angmar sticker, you know I'm a Lord of the Rings fan, so I was very pumped to try a guitar with a Nazgul, and it did not disappoint. It has a 3-position switch. Position up is the neck, middle is the 2, and down is the bridge. And then it has a singular volume knob with a coil tab. So I actually replaced the original knob that was just a black metal dome knob with one of the Mayones Clockwork knobs. And the Mayones Clockwork knobs are gorgeous, and I'll get a picture for you to see what those look like. They make a wood one, and I have the wood one on one of my other Mayones guitars, but the metal one is on this one. Then when it comes to the neck, it has 24 Jescar 57 110 stainless frets. So that means that they are 0.057 of an inch tall and 0.110 of an inch wide. And these are my favorite frets of any fret size. They're nice and tall, and then they're also nice and wide. So some people say that playing frets of this size is like playing on a scalloped fretboard. I've played both the Ritchie Blackmore Strat and the Yngwie Malmsteen Strat that are scalloped, and I can tell you that is not true. Playing on a scalloped fretboard is much different than playing on a guitar with jumbo frets. The fretboard radius on the Hydras are 16 inch, so that's a little bit flatter than I typically like, but it does work with the guitar. It has a Graphtec nut. So the Graphtec nut on this, it originally came with a black Graphtec nut, but the the nut slots were cut a bit too low for my tastes. I have a fairly heavy right hand, if you've been following the channel, with my picking style. And then I also like a very straight neck. And so with that, sometimes you have to adjust the nut height to your playing style. So I had some black Graphtec nuts, but what I found was that the black ones actually weren't machined quite as well as the white ones. I don't know if it was just the batch I got, but the black ones were sort of concave in the center, so there was a little gap between the end of the fretboard and the nut itself throughout the whole length of the nut across the neck. And of course that drove me nuts, so I had to get one that fit perfectly, and I did. I got this white one and I shaped it and got it in there, and it fits perfectly. The strings are locked by a Mayones proprietary design here. You just feed the string through and then tighten the little set screw for that. I've seen some other ones on the Strandbergs and on the Ormsbys and on the Carvin guitars or Kiesel guitars, and I really like this design the most of all. And then they have this attractive little metal thing at the top, so you can still see the Mayones logo, which I like, and then it folds over, and on the back it's got the serial number. And then to adjust the truss rod, it's actually right through the end of the neck there, so you just put your Allen wrench in there and tweak the truss rod. It's a two-way adjustable rod, and I really only have to adjust it maybe once or twice a year, because the neck's very stable. As far as the neck, it is attached to the body through a 6-bolt design, and I actually think that these last 2 bolts might go underneath the pickup. So I thought about taking this apart to see what it looks like, but I just haven't had the time or the inclination yet, and so I haven't done it. But that's something to consider. And then the last sort of design feature that I really like is this little hole here. And this little hole is neat because it allows you to actually plug your cord in and then feed the cord through here and around, so that when you're playing, the cord's not sort of jamming out into your leg. It's actually taken up here. It does the same thing as if you were to feed your cord through the strap that you've put on your guitar. And some people have done that before. So as far as this guitar, I really love it. I've had it since the very beginning of the pandemic. That's when I got it for my 35th birthday. And I've really enjoyed it ever since. I've played it a lot, perhaps not as much as the purple one, but I have played it a lot. And there's no fret wear to speak of because of the stainless frets. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the tones that I get out of it, and please drop any questions you have in the comments. perhaps you haven't heard of Mayones, but Mayones is a Polish guitar company that's been making guitars since the early 1980s. And their stuff is easily on par or surpasses that of American-made guitars for other manufacturers. I've had lots of guitars on the channel so far, and this is probably the most flawlessly built guitar that I've shown you on the channel thus far. Mayones actually uses a plek machine after they're done building it to check their fretwork and to touch up any areas that need it, as opposed to how Gibson uses the plek machine, where they actually plek the neck before they finish the assembly of it. So, excuse me, before they even go ahead and add the pickups and electronics and all that sort of stuff. So Gibson uses it very early in the process, and Mayones uses it much later in the process. That's the difference. So if you haven't had the opportunity to check on a Mayones, I strongly recommend it. The nut width is actually, and the nut that goes on this is actually the very same nut that goes on a Gibson Les Paul. It's the same dimensions. So I actually have a ton of them on the wall behind me here, hanging up in case I ever have to replace a Gibson or a Mayones nut. And yeah, it's really phenomenal. It feels right at home for me as somebody who has played Les Pauls a lot growing up and into adulthood. Thank you for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.